The BAME Vision logo, four solid circles from left to right in colours of brown, tan, coffee and beige, with the words BAME written in white within them, with the word Vision written in tan underneath, and below the words Supporting Ethnically Diverse Communities with Their Eye Health and Sight Loss in brown. BAME Vision presents celebrating blind and partially sighted mothers with Amrit Dhaliwal. Can you tell us what your role is and describe what you do?
So my name's Amrit and I'm a South Asian mum, and I am involved in a lot of volunteering work. The longest role that I've done is as a disability speaker and media spokeswoman for a charity known as Leonard Cheshire. I've been doing that role for about 6, 7 years now, and that involves getting involved in any campaign work. I've been involved over the last couple of years in the Barriers to Employment campaign and the cost of living campaign. And when I'm not doing that, then they will ask me to do disability awareness workshops with various organizations that require advice on disability, on accessibility, and just generally visual impairment awareness. I really love that role and I've learned so much from it. Because I enjoyed it so much, it led me on to volunteer with other organisations. So recently I became a sight loss counsellor with the Thomas Pocklington Trust. The role's very similar, doing work with accessibility and just generally campaigning with them on any issues that affect, visually impaired people. And the most recent project we're working on at the moment is making shopping centres more accessible to blind and partially sighted people and to improve transport. But we're looking in particular at buses. And then when I'm not doing that, with my local sensory and equality team, I'm volunteering because they've just been given a big grant to improve services for blind and partially sighted people in my area. So that is like a 3-year long project. And so I also get involved in that. And I did the launch event. They asked me to do an opening speech for that. And that volunteering is ongoing as well.
How did you get into your job?
So when my 2 children were in full-time education, I realised that I had a lot more time on my hands, and especially when they were at school. So I felt nervous about going into employment because I hadn't really ever worked properly, and then I'd been an at-home mum for about 15 years. And during that time, I kind of felt like I'd lost all my confidence. Even like picking up the phone, because I was like at home most of the time, with children. My whole life was, around the kids. And so I wanted to get back into work, but it was suggested to me that maybe I could start off with volunteering, get my confidence back and just build up my skill set. So what I did was, because I'm quite proactive, is call all of the charities that I was familiar with and just literally ask them, want to get back into work. I'd like to start off with doing some voluntary work, and if they had any opportunities. And just by doing that, it was really amazing, like how forthcoming they were in giving me opportunities. So that's how all of the roles with Leonard Cheshire, the Sight Loss Council, came about. And the one with my local council is actually really interesting because I went into town with my daughter. I just literally was popping in to get something. And there was like a health shop that runs in our local shopping centre. As we were walking past, they said they were doing a survey to see, whether their services for blind and partially sighted people were accessible. And adequate. And normally I wouldn't like stop to fill in questionnaires. So he said it would only take a few minutes. So I agreed, filled in the questionnaire. And before I know it, his manager that was also there said that literally that morning they had a meeting that they wanted blind and visually impaired people to get involved in this sight loss project that they were running over 3 years. And would I be interested in getting involved? So it was complete coincidence that I went to the shopping centre that day. And from that point, yeah, literally within a couple of weeks, I was volunteering with them. And I always say to people and my kids that no one's going to come knocking at your door. No one has any idea what it is you have to offer, what you can do, what you want. So that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, that it is about putting yourself out there, making it known to everyone what you would like. And by doing that, it's like one opportunity has just led into another.
Do you get support with your work?
I don't get any support in terms of from Access to Work. It would have been great if I did, because I did need a lot of support in getting to events and meetings. But I was told that Access to Work don't provide that support. But I wasn't going to give in because I was so determined that I wanted to do the volunteering. So it was just a case with Leonard Cheshire to speak to them about what my needs were. And they were brilliant in coming back and supporting me. Sometimes if there's been meetings that I have to attend, then they have paid for transport so that I can attend those. They've made adjustments with having meetings either via Zoom or Teams. And if there's no one around to assist me with that, then they've made an adjustment that I can dial in any additional paperwork or form filling. They've offered to do that with me over the phone. So they have been really fantastic. And the SAOS as well, and also my local council, they've really been helpful and supportive, because I think they see that how much I want to do it, and not to put any barriers in my way. The skills that I've learned in volunteering given me the confidence to apply for work now. So I think it is really important for government to recognize that volunteering does very often lead into work, and to provide people with access to work and support workers, training and equipment to allow that transition to happen.
One item you couldn't do without?
So the piece of equipment that I cannot do without is my laptop. All of my voluntary work I do on that, whether it's sending, receiving emails, if there's any workshops that I need to do to prepare any documents, workshop content, and the internet to research any topics that I'm presenting. And I cannot live without it. I didn't understand, because I'm a very nervous user of technology, and it was only a few years ago that I learned how to send emails and be able to navigate online. So it has been amazing that just in that short space of time that I've learned those skills as well, and absolutely appreciate how independently I can do all those things. Without it, I wouldn't be able to do my voluntary work. So my laptop, I can't live without it. If it was to break down, I would be at a loss.
Which assistive technology, gadgets, and devices do you use?
Yeah, currently I have Dolphin Guide Connect on my laptop because I was so nervous of using technology. It's a really basic program that does everything that I need to, but I am currently getting training on upgrading my screen reader to NVDA.
What do you feel is the biggest barrier for a blind or partially sighted mum building a career?
Well, for me, it was trying to get a balance between being a mum and then having a career, and in my case, even with the volunteering. Because when I had children, it was an absolute priority that I want to be at home with the children to, see them grow up and be there every step of the way. So now that they're in full-time education, I feel when they're at school, I have that time to, to commit to volunteering and hopefully work. I did kind of battle with it a little bit at first because I was anxious about whether I'm going to be able to strike that balance, because even being at home as a mom, just, being able to do homework with them and, cooking meals, it takes me a lot longer. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to commit the time to getting a full-time job and being a full-time mum at home. I've compromised by looking for part-time work, seeing how that goes and how that works out with being a mum. And it's also discussing that with my children because they're both teenagers now, and sitting with them and just sharing that this is something that I would like to do. It's like the next chapter in my life, and just, talking to them about how they would also be able to support and how they could maybe take on, some of the tasks that I do, to support me and to free up that time so that I can do both things. And I think it's fantastic for them as well to see that there is more to me than just being a mum, because that's all that they've ever known. And I think it's really healthy for them to know as well that there's many kind of aspects, to us, and to just constantly grow and progress as a person, and to open up opportunities and to live just a more fuller life that has lots of variety.
Balancing motherhood and work life.
Yeah, so it's really important as well that apart from being a mum and having a career, to have a social life as well, because I went to a stage where I was really guilty about, having my own time to, do a leisure activity or to learn something new, like dancing or attending singing classes, which I really enjoy. And it took me a lot of months to pluck up the courage really to do that without feeling guilty. But it was just a case again, discussing that with my partner, my family, to support me and encourage me to do it, because it's something that I really wanted to do, but I really felt guilty of being a mum of 15 years and doing everything around the children, that I needed to do something for myself as well. Yeah, because I think sometimes as women, as mum, we kind of take on everything on ourselves. And I've learned that isn't the case, that, we do have a network of support around us, and we do need to kind of use that more, because I think, as women, we kind of tend to think that, only we can do it and only we do it. best. But again, that is something that I've learned, that I can share that responsibility, and it's worked. That's what's brilliant. That whatever I've done, it has worked to the point where I have that quality time with the children. I also do my volunteering when they're at school. So as soon as they come back from studying, all my time is spent with them. And then I've got a set time, a couple of times a week, when I go out and do something leisurely. And it's about kind of being really organized. You have to be really organized with your time. And, the days that I go out in the evening, I'll say, okay, that day you will order a pizza, we'll have a takeaway or something. And then I'll just cook, proper meals when I'm at home. So it's really being highly organized with time. But if you do that, you'll be surprised really how much you can achieve.
And finally, Amrit's advice to other vision impaired moms looking to work.
I would say absolutely go for it, because as I was saying at the beginning, being at home for 15 years as a mum, I became quite isolated and everything was focused around the children, and I would never change it for the world. But you do tend to kind of lose your identity as, an employer, employee, or, as a volunteer. And I completely lost my confidence because I was very proactive before I had the children. I was very confident in delivering training, speaking to people, picking up the phone, but I felt that I'd lost that as well. But when I made that first phone call, I was really surprised where it led. And I think it is really worth telling people, being open and honest and saying, look, this is my situation. I've been at home. I want to get back to work. I want to get back into volunteering. And I would really appreciate, support with that as to where, I would be able to get support in looking for work, where I'd be able to get volunteering opportunities. And I felt like being authentic, open and honest really helped. And I was really pleasantly surprised, like how many people that I spoke to related to that. And it is the best thing that I've ever done. Like when I picked up the phone that day, I had no idea where I would be 6-7 years later. I did not anticipate that I'd be doing 3 volunteering roles. That is like a full-time job for me, and that I would be looking for part-time work. And doing the volunteering role not only gave me confidence to look for employment, but it also gave me confidence as a person to want to do these other, leisure activities like the singing and the dancing. So it's helped me to develop all round as a mum, which has been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant for everyone around me, and especially the children, because I think it's healthy for their growth and their development in life to see how I've fished and what I've achieved over the last few years. So I would say take advantage of the many charities and all of the projects that they have, but the only way you're going to know about them is by calling them. For example, like the RNIB helpline, Thomas Pocklington Trust, or your local charity for visually impaired people, and just say that I will just say to them what it is you would like to do. And I can promise you that you won't look back.
Thank you, Amrit, for joining us for part 2 of our BAME Vision Celebrating Blind and Partially Sighted Mothers series. We have had wonderful conversations and your advice has been incredibly valuable. To read part 1 of her blog, head over to our website www.bamevision.org. Coming up next, we have some blind fathers sharing their perspectives, so watch this space. You can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook for updates and new projects. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.